The night began with a scream, sharp, terrified, and so sudden that it sliced through the quiet back alley air like a blade made of pure panic. A young girl, barefoot and shivering beneath the amber flicker of a broken street lamp, froze mid-step when she heard it. She had been running for hours, carrying nothing but a bruised heart and a small backpack with the sum of her entire life, but that scream dragged something out of her she had not felt in a long time, a reason to stop running. She didn't know the boy. She didn't know this town. She didn't know why fate had placed her here, at this exact moment, in this forgotten street behind an old auto shop. But she knew one thing with absolute certainty: someone needed her, and she could not look away. Even if she was broken. Even if she was scared. Even if she had nothing left to give. If you believe in kindness, courage, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to channel name. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. The girl's name was Mira, 16 years old, exhausted from the life she had escaped, and haunted by memories that chased her faster than her feet ever could. She had left home with no destination, only the hope that pain didn't follow roads. But as she pressed herself against the wall of the alley and listened to the second scream, smaller this time, frightened, and clearly belonging to a child, she realized life had a strange way of redirecting lost souls exactly where they were needed most. She peeked around the corner, and what she saw made her pulse hammer inside her ears. A boy no older than 8 or 9 was being dragged toward a black van by 2 men dressed in rough leather jackets with patches she couldn't recognize. Their movements were fast, practiced, and vicious, like they had done this before. The boy kicked, fought, and cried, but in that lonely street, there was no one to help him. No one except Mira, the runaway girl who had sworn she would never get involved in anyone else's mess again. But there was something about the child's terrified eyes, something raw and familiar, that reminded her of a younger version of herself, the version who had once wished someone would step out of the shadows and save her. So she moved. She didn't think. She didn't calculate. She didn't wait for courage. She lunged forward, using her whole weight to ram into the back of the first thug. He stumbled, caught off guard, and the boy fell to the ground. Panic flashed in Myra's chest as the second man turned toward her with pure rage twisting his features, but she didn't back away. She grabbed the boy's hand and screamed for him to run. They sprinted through the alley, her heart threatening to burst, her breath sharp in her throat. She didn't know where they were going, she only knew they had to keep moving. Behind them, the thugs shouted and cursed, but Mira had always been good at running. The boy stumbled repeatedly, but she lifted him, pushed him, dragged him along with every last bit of strength in her trembling body. She didn't dare look back. She didn't dare slow down. She didn't dare let fear win, even though it crawled up her spine like ice. When they finally reached the edge of the alley, headlights exploded across their faces. A motorcycle roared to a stop, its engine growling like some metal beast answering a silent call. The man on the bike was massive, broad, leather-clad, tattooed, and terrifying in a way that commanded respect rather than fear. But the moment he saw the boy, his expression split open with something far more human than his appearance suggested: absolute shock, followed by relief so intense it softened every hard line on his face. Mira barely had time to breathe before strong arms swept the child up off his feet. She staggered back, panting, thinking she should disappear before she caused more trouble. But before she could fade into the night, the thugs burst out of the alley. The man on the bike positioned himself between Mira, the boy, and the danger, shielding them without hesitation. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He didn't need to. His presence alone made the kidnappers step back, their confidence faltering. They exchanged nervous glances, then ran. The second they disappeared, the man tapped something on the side of his helmet, a small switch, a silent signal. It happened so fast Mira didn't understand it at first. But she would never forget the next sound as long as she lived. From the far end of the street, then the next, engines awakened. 1 at first. Then 10. Then 100. Then 1,000. Then waves of them. A thunderstorm made of steel and gasoline and brotherhood, echoing through the town with the force of a coming army. Within minutes, the streets shook beneath the arrival of nearly 10,000 bikers, lights blazing, tires screeching, voices roaring with the promise of protection. They didn't come for war. They came for the boy. They came because one silent signal from their president meant family was in danger. And family was everything. But as they surrounded the area, forming a shield of chrome, leather, and loyalty, all eyes eventually drifted to the frightened girl standing alone in the glow of their headlights. Mira held her breath, feeling smaller than ever. She waited for anger. Accusations. Questions she had no answers for. But instead, every biker simply looked at her with something unexpected: gratitude. The man holding the child stepped forward. He recognized the fear in her eyes, the exhaustion in her posture, the bruised spirit she tried so hard to hide. He could tell she wasn't just running from danger tonight, she had been running from something for a long, long time. He didn't need to ask her what or why. He already understood. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, and that simple gesture broke something inside her she hadn't realized was still intact. For the first time in years, someone looked at her like she wasn't a burden. Like she wasn't a mistake. Like she wasn't invisible. The boy she saved reached out and took her hand. It was small and warm, and in that moment, Mira felt something she thought she'd lost forever: connection. As the bikers escorted them to safety, she walked among them, uncertain of her place but unable to deny the strange sense of belonging she felt. She had never been part of anything before. Never been wanted. Never been protected. But as she watched the men spread out, searching for the criminals, planning how to keep their town safe, she realized these bikers were not the monsters the world painted them as. They were men who loved fiercely, protected fiercely, and defended the innocent with everything they had. She had stumbled into a family she didn't know existed. In the calm that followed, Myra's story slowly came to light, not through interrogation, but through patience. They learned she had no home to return to. No safe place waiting. No arms open for her. She expected them to tell her she couldn't stay, that she needed to move on. But instead, the bikers, this roaring army of unlikely angels, made space for her. They didn't pity her. They saw her courage, her heart, and her strength. The weeks that followed changed everything. Mira helped the club's families, worked around their community center, and slowly, painfully, stitched her sense of self back together. The president's son treated her like a big sister, following her everywhere with the kind of trust she never imagined anyone could place in her. And though she still carried scars, inside and out, she no longer carried them alone. Healing didn't come quickly. It came in small, fragile pieces. A shared joke during breakfast. A child's drawing with her name in the corner. A biker fixing her broken shoelace without saying a word. A warm meal waiting for her after a long day. A place at the table nobody forced her to earn. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon and painted the sky with traces of gold and violet, Mira realized something that made her chest tighten with emotion. She wasn't running anymore. She wasn't lost. She wasn't alone. She wasn't unwanted. She was home. And all of it, every moment of healing, every breath of safety, every unexpected piece of love, had begun the night she chose to be brave for someone else. A runaway girl who had nothing left found everything she needed because she stepped out of the shadows and saved a child. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support truly keeps stories like this alive. Before this story ends, please leave a comment telling, would you have done what Mira did? Your voice matters, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.